Where do I do my hair? Oh, that's good.
You're looking good, Vera, don't worry.
I love it.
She's very concerned about looking good on this point.
I actually don't care what we talk about. Just don't make me look fat.
Today on Lockstock FM, we're thrilled to welcome a truly remarkable entrepreneur who's been making waves across multiple industries, right from the heart of Bali. Meet Vera Kretschmar, the dynamic force behind Anaya, a venture that's not just a business, but a symphony of lifestyle investments ranging from a beauty clinic to property development and F&B endeavors. Born with an Indo-Chinese heritage and raised with German precision, is that right? Vera has crafted her journey with a blend of cultural richness and meticulous innovation. Her story is one of daring dreams and strategic prowess, leading Anaya to flourish, even amidst the unpredictability of global challenges.
Yeah.
And now she's gearing up to sprinkle that magic into the vibrant cityscape of Dubai with her investment in the upcoming project with myself, M1NT Dubai, which we're going to talk about a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
So her approach to business is matched only by a zest for life and commitment to community, a true embodiment of the entrepreneurial spirit that reshaping our world. And only yesterday featured in Economic Advisor, along with Economic Insider, along with a number of other big ones as well, which we'll talk about as well in this podcast. Nothing but big pimping, I think. So get ready to dive into this amazing conversation, brilliant with insights, laughter, and the kind of inspiration that we really want to see from entrepreneurs all around the world. Welcome.
Thank you so much. That was an amazing introduction. I love it.
Very good. I really want.
Not embellished at all.
Had to make you sound good, just to be before we get into the dirty secrets of Vera Kretschmar. So we've known each other for a long time, haven't we, Vera?
Known each other a long time. I think we were in our 20s, so we can't say how long we know each other now, but it's been definitely.
I like to hide that.
It's definitely been a decade.
Yeah, it's been. Yeah. That was your show, like.
And I think the nice thing is we have seen each other like evolve throughout the years, right? So actually, let's step back. When we met, I was working a corporate job. Do you remember? Actually, that was
it for CBRE?
Yes, that was my second job out of college.
Yeah. You were young and enthusiastic and ready to take the world, looking to make money.
No, you know what? I think that, it was such a different stage of life. It was like the stage of learning how to work, how to do business. I think also when you're younger, you don't really know yet what you want to do. I think you just, you finish college, you graduate, you need to have a job. You need to learn what to do because you just don't know.
What's expected of you in the workplace.
Yeah, and also I think college doesn't prepare you how to be an entrepreneur, to be honest with you. It's a lot of, analytics and theories, but, you only learn how to do business by doing business. There's no other I don't think there's a textbook that you read like, oh, now I know how to be an entrepreneur, what to do,
It's all about actually making mistakes, isn't it? A lot of mistakes.
A lot.
And learning from those mistakes, make sure you don't make those mistakes again. Actually, we posted a short yesterday, which went crazy viral. It was me chatting to one of my other guests about how I don't really think I know that much. You just know a little bit more than most people, and you just go for it. You have the balls to go for it, and if you make a mistake, you just make sure you correct it, and you're learning on the job and just making sure you've got that.
I always tell people, I personally think I know very little, actually. I think I'm good in a few things, and for everything else, I try to have people that know way more than me. Mm-hmm. So, when I look at different companies or investments I couldn't do what these people do. I really couldn't. I think that you need to have a little bit of an advantage, to see maybe long-term or to see, to put things together because, like a vision, or where do you think this can go? Because, I think for many execution things, you actually don't need to know everything. I think for many years, when I was working corporate, I was like, oh, I couldn't do this. I don't know how to do it. And then, as I get older, I realized nobody knows. So it's not like, when I started the beauty clinic,
big realization.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
Realize that everyone's kind of like an imposter, but they know a little bit more. Like a big imposters.
Yes. But also, I don't have the attitude where I feel like I'm telling people, oh, I know it all. I really don't. I actually, sometimes I'm a little bit surprised about my success because I kind of feel I don't even know why all this is happening. I'm just trying to have certain things that I like to do. I like to do honest business. I like to, be supportive to people. I'm not a greedy person. I always make sure that my staff makes a lot of money and have like, capabilities and abilities to grow.
They all love you, don't they?
Of course.
I'm a Vera. So let's talk a little bit about how we met. So I think the first day I remember meeting you was at kickboxing.
Exactly, at Muay Thai.
You rocked up in these little hot pants or whatever you're wearing, and you started kicking the shit out of some bag. I'm like, who is this chick?
This girl.
Yeah. And then we kind of connected a little bit in M1NT Shanghai, of course, because we were both enjoying the evening time, weren't we, during that?
Yes, but you know what? I wasn't actually not partying that much anymore in Shanghai then.
But of course, you saw the epic DJ, Spuddy and the
DJ Spuddy and the Meg. That was honestly, like looking back now, that was an amazing time. Like Shanghai, like around 2010 or whatever, was just the best time. I feel like there was so many possibilities, and like the vibe is good. Like people start, like the Chinese people just started to have money and like spending it, and everybody was becoming rich. Yeah.
First time. So how did you feel being a woman in that scenario? Because I know China is a very male-dominated society. Historically, it's very masculine and feminine. And I quite like those kind of separating those roles, not like the West where it's like everyone's got to be equal. I like having the male roles in a relationship and a female role in a relationship. But obviously you're a very independent young lady that likes to go out and make her own things and have her own ways and be the boss. How did you find that in China?
Well, I mean, two things actually to your question. One is, yes, I do my own things. And I think as a woman, you should always be able to pay your own bills. However, I appreciate the man's role and the woman's role. Like in a relationship, I definitely want to be the woman, I feel like you can still, do what you want to do as a woman and support yourself, but still be feminine. I don't think this is mutually exclusive.
But you need someone strong enough to be able to make you feminine.
But, how you are in a relationship can be different than how you are in business, right? So I would say when I do business, I have a different attitude towards people than with my partner at home, right? Like I'm definitely the woman at home. There's no like, I'm not calling the shots and I'm not very bossy.
Yes. Not very bossy, I don't believe.
I'm not bossy. I'm not bossy at all. Well, in my personal relationship. But, to answer your question, I think in China, actually, there were always situations, even I think more so in like, the company setting. I remember I had a conversation once with, I think he was the MD or CEO at that time. And, he called me in his office because he knew my family. And, at that time, my grandfather had bought me a gold BMW, right? So everybody knew me.
Spinning wheels.
Something like that. So it was very funny.
Big sound system. Yeah. Subwoofers in the back. Sitting on.
You know what? I only cared about the color, right? So it was gold. And then, he called me in the office and said, so Vera, can I ask you, why do you work? I was like, what do you mean? Well, you don't, yeah, why are you working here? Like, you have money, like, just stay at home, and go shopping. I said, I'm pretty offended by that because why do you work? You can afford to stay at home. Why are you asking me the question? I can ask you the question. I think more so like within my company, I found sometimes it was a bit like I had to justify why am I working. I think that is so 1920s that I couldn't even understand why they're asking me that.
Definitely, we only talk business, don't we? Me and you.
Yes.
Every time I go about, you tell me about the latest hostile telecom you've done and the latest installment of Anaya that you've got. Like yesterday, you told me, Spencer, the tax accountants are fucked up. We're going to buy the tax accountant, do my own Anaya tax advisors, whatever it is. Crazy. So, okay, so those are kind of the early beginnings for you. How did you end up in Bali? Because you were in Shanghai. We're talking about where we we both kind of moved here a similar time. I'm not sure whether you're following me around or not, or one way or the other. But
stalking, yeah.
How did you get here? What brought you to here, and how did it inspire the start of your brand, Anaya?
Yeah. So remember, when COVID hit, I've always been living in Singapore at that time, and I had bought a villa. I think we bought a villa around the same time here in Bali, and then when COVID hit, I was kind of stuck here, right? So it was a crazy time because Singapore closed the borders, so I couldn't go back. I'm with an investment bank in Singapore, so it was very tricky not to be able to go to my house. And, I had never spent that much time in Bali. It was like a weekend getaway. And then I remember when we were stuck here, apart from playing golf, and crypto doing well, I think there was just the need to do something else because, I was forced to spend a lot of time here. So I started renovating the house and then looking, the neighbor house maybe is for sale. So I started doing some real estate. And then, I was looking to, I wanted to go to the beauty clinics. The beauty clinics here were really crappy. So I was like, I wonder how much it is to rent a place here. It was COVID, so everything was cheap. I was like, let me rent a place. It wasn't really, I didn't have a grand idea behind it. It was just, it kind of happened. I had a partner at that time. At the end, we're separated, but it was just, let me see, I can do it. I had no idea. And the first year was just horrible because I did everything wrong that you can do wrong. Basically, I had to change all the partners, change all the stuff, basically start from zero. But then, as you go along, I realized, okay, like this actually works, this cannot work. You have to set up, a company, you have to set up bank accounts, you have to do this. So all the infrastructure actually, that takes a lot of time, right?
It's definitely one thing that I think people that are not entrepreneurs don't realize. They come along, they see an entrepreneur and they see they've got a successful business and they see, oh, wow, you just like started it up and boom, it was successful.
No.
It's never like that. It's the same as like a successful singer-songwriter or whatever. They can write 20, 30, 40, 50 songs and then their one big hit comes out and they explode on the scene. Everyone thinks, oh, wow, they just came.
But you have the starving percent
years of hard work and mistakes. Yeah. Getting things wrong, keeping going and making those changes.
But also, it's not like people are like, oh, you've been in this magazine. I'm like, yeah, but I work Saturday, Sundays and every night. And most of the times you in meetings with lawyers and this and accountants. And most of the day it's not very glamorous, So, and there's been years of, disappointments and, you run out of money and this and that. So, and also it's kind of like, sometimes people say, oh, you're so lucky, this and this. I'm definitely, I feel like I am lucky, but, becoming successful is not a matter of luck. It's
sure, you have
one of
gratitude
dedication.
for your success, but
yeah.
There's only so much of luck. You've still got to put yourself the time in and put yourself in the right place. And if you're there at the right place, the right time comes. And that's when you, as you say, get lucky if you will.
Yeah, but it's also like, sometimes people are like, oh, Vera, you're doing this. And like, what are you also doing? A restaurant? Are you doing this?
So let's talk about those few different things you're doing. So Anaya is your brand here, and it started off doing the beauty clinic. So you've got a place just outside Seminyak.
Yeah.
It's a very large, beautiful place, right?
Yeah.
And you kitted it out with all the bits, hired the team, branded it, and started doing beauty treatments for people. One, of course, because it was a hobby for you. This is something that you love to do, so you would go there yourself. So you had a good understanding of what a client might want, and therefore you tried to put that into a business, right? And you learned it as you were going along. Then Anaya kind of also moved into some property stuff because you were doing your own villa, and then you expanded that into other projects, right? There's some other parts to it.
Yeah.
Tell me about the other parts.
So I think it's, it's funny, but I just felt like you started with Anaya Aesthetics. So I just kept the word Anaya, like for all my different businesses. So, the beauty clinic kind of grew. I just had one level first and, we're on 4 levels now. So we have a whole building. We have 3 doctors and a dermatologist and, the world-class, machines, basically the best you can get in the market. So it has been evolving, right? It went from like, 1 doctor to we have really expanded. So I think we're the biggest. And
I've seen some of the adverts with the sexy men.
They're cool, right? You love it? Are you jealous?
No.
No. No, but it's cool and it's fun. And of course I like the stuff. So I'm top customer, definitely. And then we're developing products now. So we'll go into, online sales for beauty products. Been taking my time with it a little bit because I just want to make sure the products are really good. And then, I started doing real estate. I think we kind of started at the same time, right?
Yeah, so I've got a project just outside here called...
We're a little bit in competition because now you're also expanding in Umalas, right?
I'm in Umalas.
I was like,
you
copy.
Well, you've got a whole area called Vera Village, basically.
Exactly.
So that's doing quite... I've come to see your recent one that you call it the White House.
Yeah, I have
so your model is you're basically buying slightly older villas and then revamping them all. So you're buying them, creating a new lease, spending 100, 200 grand or whatever it is on there, putting your flair on it, making it a beautiful place. And then at the moment, you've been keeping them and renting them, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, it started with one villa, and then I bought the neighboring villa and another one and another one, and then I renovated them. And so now I have one big complex that's like high-end luxury rental. And then you got to hire staff, right? Because it's kind of like, it's like if you have like a boutique hotel or whatever, like full staff. So we went from 1 maid to 2. Now we have 14 full-time staff.
14 now.
Yeah. And then, we have the neighboring villa. So then, and Manus.
Manus is a little dog just for
the cutest in the world.
So her daughter and my girlfriend, basically.
And and then started doing that really. I mean, I am now starting to build as well. I just felt that, I felt it was a good deal to buy something that needed a little bit of touch up. And, during COVID, in hindsight, we should have bought everything, but now we know. But yeah, so I just felt it was a good opportunity. I have some new projects now where I'm building though. So I'm just getting my feet into it. I kind of like the remodeling part because I do have like a template. I know where, to get the nice furniture. So I have a good crew. I kind of have an idea what I want to do. So I actually quite enjoy it, but it has become like a proper development company now. It went from like one villa to now that there's so much to manage. I think you have to, like you with your project, you have to have the infrastructure for it, right? So, who's managing the leasing, the booking, the bookkeeping, the expenses, the maintenance.
Yes, because you just can't do all of this. You have to delegate all of that stuff.
It's a lot.
Get bogged down.
It's a lot of HR with everything, organization and setup. And then I found once you have the setup, that's why I kept buying next door, because once you have the setup, you might as well buy another one.
Yeah.
Because you don't have more infrastructure costs. You already have a setup, right? You already have a company, you already have this, you already have an accountant, this, and staff. They can also clean the next door villa. So that's why I personally like the Bidadari area, which is just off Seminyak. It's just easier because traffic is crazy in Bali. So, if you were to do a project in Canggu, it's going to take you 2 hours. I'm never going to go there because I don't have time. So how are you going to, you still need to be there and like check what's going on,
So Anaya also has recently a charity arm to it as well.
Yeah, so let me continue. So then we have the beauty products, then I have the real estate company. Then recently I founded Anaya Creative Agency because I found that I have a lot of staff within my Anaya aesthetics business that also need to take care of my property business and other stuff. And it was getting too messy. You hire people for one company, but they have to do all this different stuff. So and I also was a bit tired of dealing with agencies, right? Because I have a very clear idea what I want to do or where you want to see this brand or the project going. And the agency that comes, and like deals with you is not in-house. It's just not working. I don't think it works. So I just decided, I'm going to hire everyone or all agencies together and have a team of, 10, 12 people. And I have an advisor, my friend Dirk van Motman, who used to run DDB, and he's helping to set up the structure for this. And I'll just do everything in house, which then also helps me when I acquire or invest in new companies. I already have the infrastructure for all my marketing there, and I think it's tremendously helpful because everybody needs marketing. So it doesn't matter which company you're investing in, you do need the marketing services.
Yeah.
So in Indonesia, of course, it's more. It's not as expensive as, for example, if I want to support people, out of my company in Singapore. The HR cost, it would
especially the creative side. I think Bali is a really great place for creative people.
Yeah.
There's lots of talented designers and people doing social media stuff here, which you can get to work for you at a half or a third of the cost you'd have to pay in a more UK or US, right? So the Anaya charity part, you recently bought a bit of land which you're going to do something.
Yeah. And then I felt, so there's a few different aspects, I think, now of my business, my investing, my property, and my this. And then, of course, I kind of feel like you can't be selfish, right? Then, if things are going well, I feel like, okay, Indonesia has been so good to me. I'm able to buy land and been successful, and, I have so many staff from here. So I decided to buy some land and build like a boarding house for girls. It's called Anaya's Angels, but in Indonesian it's called Anaya Bidadari Bali. And actually Bidadari is the name of my street.
Oh, really?
And that means angel, right?
Yeah, the daddy means angel.
The daddy.
Yeah, that's
Like
like
me.
daddy.
Yeah.
Daddy.
Big daddy angel. So we're building like a boarding house, and yeah, we have some land in Tabanan, and it's close to where some of my staff live. So their families will be working there, and basically we're doing a housing for underprivileged girls, and we support their education. They'll also get English classes, computer classes, and finance classes.
I think
we help them on their journey.
There is a lot of underprivileged people here. Certainly in Bali. I mean, obviously, I don't really know Bali because that's where we are, but you do see a lot of people that could really do with a helping hand. But what I really do notice about all of these people, they're still very happy, very joyous, very happy to engage, and there's no feeling.
They're funny.
Like, for instance, if I'm in the UK, if you're with someone that's got less than you, in most cases they're hating on you.
They're grumpy.
Really upset, really like this kind of socialist attitude where in Bali everyone just feels like, no, I'm happy, I'm peaceful with myself, and then you kind of feel like you want to help them out more. And certainly, if you can provide, for instance, learning English is a big upsell for any local Indonesian that can speak properly in English, speak proper English. Definitely gives them many more opportunities that they had if they didn't. And then you have access to learning how to use a computer and these kind of things. And a lot of these kids have just got absolutely no chance of that ever if they don't have a helping hand or someone giving that to them.
So, I think, the main problem in Indonesia, honestly, from what I see, is education. So, people just don't have the education in many fields in society where they can really, get somewhere. And that has nothing to do with, are they, working hard or studying hard or whatever. Just the education is not good. Mm-hmm. So, I think that is the main reason, how to change people's lives is education, so they can, find a way to better their own life. Giving out food for the poor is putting, a little bit of like water on a stone. It's absolutely, unless there is a big crisis moment for that moment, it doesn't do anything. I don't believe in that.
You don't want people to become dependent.
Exactly. Then you're just dependent on the next bread. You need to help people to find a way how to better their life. And that the only way is education. So my idea is, all of my friends or business partners are going to be sponsoring one girl, and we'll help them to get to a point where they can. My dream would be, then they will send the girl maybe overseas to go to college or something, or maybe she will be, become a beautician, or I don't know. In my mind, I would love to everyone to be a lawyer and a doctor and, prosper and go to Harvard.
Lockstock FM.
Exactly.
Start talking about their big business.
But what I wanted to say about what you just said is, why are people, I love the Balinese people so much. Like they are, first of all, they have such a good heart. They're so sweet. They are not, spiteful, even they know, maybe you are in a better situation or your family has money or whatever. And I find that they are very loyal. They work very hard. And, for the Balinese people, because they have a close family relationship and the way that people live here is very, communal, right? So you live in a complex with your family. And that means that, you are set in a certain way. Whether you have a little bit more money or less, it's not going to change the way you live. So people are not left out there, like in Europe and the US, if, to fend for themselves. And they kept their traditions and, their morals, they're very family oriented. They're getting married. They're having a family. Like these are the values they have. And in many developing countries, you don't have that.
Don't have them in the developed countries as well. I mean, that's
exactly
one of the big things we're losing in UK and US is that family unit, and basically
that's a big problem.
Pushing people to become dependent on the government instead, which is a disaster, obviously. And you lose a lot of people start stealing off each other. They don't care about the society they're in, and
that's why I feel like people here, even how can I say, like people here are not desperate because even maybe they don't make that much money. They live in a house with their family. They have food. Maybe they don't eat filet mignon, but they have food. Everybody's eating. Everybody has a ceremony. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is their life going to change that much? Because everybody does the same ceremony. You're rich or poor. You don't feel the discrepancy because you live in the same kind of way.
Yeah.
And also you're very religious. You believe in karma. So people, I can tell you that nothing ever has been stolen since I am in Bali. And, there would have been many opportunities. My staff has my full trust, built over years, but I fully support them, and I'm trying to help them to, get a better position and do more in their life and give them more responsibilities. But, I just had such good experience always with them. Whereas in other countries, I feel like people want to get ahead, cost whatever. Like, people don't have that here, They're like, it's okay. And you know what I love? They're always good for cracking a joke. All the construction workers, they're so funny. Like, they just want to, like, crack jokes. I mean, sometimes I look at them, are you sleeping on the floor? Like, what are you doing, They're like, yeah, they love it. And then they're like, talking shit. Yeah, they're very funny,
You've got quite a few of those guys in the White House right now, haven't you?
Yeah.
So that compared to where I've just moved to, which is Dubai, to do this project, MINT Dubai, it's such a stark contrast. And Dubai don't have this middle class of people that have lived there and been born there and stuff. You only have very wealthy men and maybe some women, and then you have the workers, and then a load of prostitutes in the middle, basically, which is a bit like, oh God. So trying to find that middle class, which it is a little difficult there, and that's but I think that will come, like maybe in 10, 20 years, as people start to have children there, they start to live there, they go to school there, and then they grow up, they aspire to be more, that's going to come. But you do get the higher level people there, which you can network with and kind of aspire to be with. Because I know both of me and you are on this big mission to really level up over the next couple of years, aren't we? We've both got big ambitions for certainly for next year in all of our businesses. So just quickly, if you weren't a business lady, if you weren't doing if you were born into a different setup,
like why?
Do you think you'd be what else might you do? What was your passion before all of that?
It's funny. Like, I mean, when I grew up, of course I wanted to be a ballerina, but then
were you any good or not? Did you actually?
No, I was too short.
Oh, really?
I wasn't skinny enough.
Okay.
And then I always wanted to be a stockbroker, and it's a very weird dream to have for a girl.
Yeah.
As people are like, no, but like, really, what do you want to do? You want to be a princess or a ballerina? I'm like, I really want to be like on Wall Street.
A movie or something like this?
Yeah, it was like Wall Street, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always felt this, like I want to wear a suit and like go. And then I did an internship in New York on Wall Street, and that was like, I was in heaven. Then I realized I really suck at it. Like, I was so bad. But like, that was my dream, Like, that was always my dream, to wear like a power suit and walk on Wall Street. Like, that was it.
Wow. Okay, maybe you can go back to that sometime once you've made all the money from all.
No, probably not. No.
So, with this diverse portfolio that you've got, how do you allocate your time? Where do you, and how do you decide what's the next venture to do? What value do you put on your time and your capital?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I do have times like now where I'm a little bit overwhelmed because I take on a couple new things, right? And then time gets a little bit shorter and a little bit less. And I do feel that, now when I work out, I do have to answer messages and things like that. You know what? I try to make time to think about strategy sometimes, right? So for example, now, when I did find that there's a problem with, having an outside accountant and an outside tax attorney, an outside lawyer, I really thought about this for a long time. And I said, look, there's only one way. I'm going to buy this company now that is going to help me to make my life easier, because then I have somebody who's going to manage my accounting and, my taxes, and advise me on anything. So I make sure that everything I do is done in a proper manner. Like, one of my big things is I don't like to cut corners. And I think long term, that's the only way to go. Yeah, it's it takes a lot of time to set up properly and blah, blah, blah. But I think once you have like the infrastructure set up for everything, is so much easier, right?
Well, you've done a lot of hard work on the infrastructure, haven't you? That's what we talked about.
It's a lot of infrastructure work that actually it's not really paying me off. Like, the marketing agency is not making me money. It's not a cash flow business, but it helps me, for example, when I invest in, in a tech startup or something, where I bring my marketing company as part of my investment, right? It's the same with, let's say, when I invest personally, I bring Ivory Capital in Singapore and as a, maybe like a strategic advisor and, fundraising or whatever. It helps when you invest into something, because you need the infrastructure, because you're an entrepreneur by yourself. you can't do it. You need like a team of people, right? So I think the way to do it is, apart from lots of planning, is also like sometimes, take a second and really think about like, what are you doing, because, you hustle every day, right? You have this, you get busy, but like, what are you going to do? So I like to make a list. Okay, what am I doing? Like, this is doing what? Who I'm going to hire? Then what is that helping the other businesses? Kind of like put together. For me right now, I'm in the process of, I have several businesses. I want to set up a structure where I have, my accounting firm, my marketing firm, my real estate firm, my investment firm. And then once you have everything set up, then you can go big. I think it's a lot of hard work to set that up.
You just still in F&B as well, haven't you? So you've just got into the F&B business, got a new project called
Jade
in Broward, which is soft opening the last couple of weeks, which is quite exciting. What's your idea for that? What's your plan?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of started by, I've never invested into F&B. I used to, when I was working at Seabury, I used to rent out restaurants. So I do have an idea on the deals that big chefs do, like we used to, I know like the big chefs because they were our clients, right? When we helped them to do like a restaurant deal. And then I was intrigued by the group of shareholders. I think it's a cool group of guys plus me. And then I kind of like the idea. I didn't plan to get involved in it at all. But now then it's like this. Okay, I have a marketing company. Okay, we need some help. Then we need this. And send the girls to the clinic. So we're doing a lot of cross promotions now in Bali. So I'm getting a little bit more involved. And we have some cool ideas for next year, what's happening. But look, it's a beautiful venue, quite big. We have a really amazing outside terrace with lights and fireplace. We have a wood fire grill, and sips, and there's going to be, live entertainment and drinks. It's a cool spot, and it's just in the middle of Baraba where everything is happening. So,
that is a good spot, isn't it? Right next to Miss Fish, and which is competitive yours, obviously, but like going then Leela Brown.
Exactly. It's like in the triangle, where everyone is going to Bali. Yeah.
Okay, let's go on a little bit onto personal life. So I know that you like going to the gym and you like to imagine yourself as this beautiful, slim lady that works out all the time. How often do you go to the gym? You said you went this morning. Did you really go?
I have a personal trainer.
Okay. Is he a male or female?
He's a male. He is a trainer at 45. I don't know. I guess.
Isn't that a condition?
Never ask him. I mean, you shouldn't be fat as a trainer. That you're probably in the wrong business, right? No, he's cool. He's an X40. He trains at F45. Then I have a really cool yoga teacher that's like power yoga, and I try to do some Pilates. I try to do an hour every day, even if it's like half an hour. I have a gym in the house. I'll go on the treadmill. But I feel like you have to do something. Like every day. It's if I start to get really cranky if I don't work out, actually. And also, I like to be on the treadmill and just listen to music and think about some stuff because the day gets hectic. So I actually like it. I mean, it's just part of everyday life, I mean, of course, I would like to train a little bit more and go out less. But like, everyone's busy, so yeah.
And
play more golf next year.
You're not married, Vera. What's going on here?
Well, I'm still young. I'm young.
Still young. So anything on the horizon? What's that? I know you've got a new boyfriend. You've been talking very highly.
A personal thing? Yeah. What is that? I didn't know that. Are we talking about your personal
Any kids
too?
Oh, well, we can ask me. It's not what you like. I mean, I share all my
What about you, Spencer?
Well,
any marriage on the horizon?
You're
not married. Not yet.
Next year, it's happening. One way or the other is going to happen next year.
Do you want to send me a save the date? Should we start looking at are we renting a tax?
Well, it might do a your villa, actually. I need to make babies for next year of the Dragon with China, so it's the best year to have.
What I think that, I don't want to talk too much about my personal life, but I am in a relationship, and I think, whenever the time is right, things are right. I don't try to overthink, I need to get married, blah, 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 and I think we all have times when we do stress ourselves out, but then again, a lot of my friends, there's a lot of people getting a divorce by now, so I feel like I have less pressure. I get that.
Also, if you're having children as well, there was a couple of new kids popping out last.
You know what? I feel. I tell you what though. I feel like because maybe I'm not married and I don't have kids. I feel like I need to show for something else. So maybe that's why I'm so crazy to do business because I feel like people don't question me anymore.
You have so much more time.
I have so much more time. I tell people, how much time you spend with your kids? I work that time. How much time you spend with your husband? I'm working day and night, weekend.
Yeah.
I don't take the weekend to go for lunch. When people ask me, what are you doing on the weekend? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm working. And there's no Saturday, Sunday.
Well, I still think it's important. If you're working to build, there needs to be a point when I'm pushing you've got to have kids. You've got to have kids at some point, right?
Yeah.
And don't leave this earth that.
I might get another dog.
No more dog. She has a dog called Menace, a beautiful little girl dog.
We might have to cut all of it.
That when I found her, she was in the garage when I turned up. Terrifying little thing. And Vera was like, she's never going to be sleeping in my bed. Oh, no way. And then 6 months later, lo and behold, tucked in between the pillows is little Menace. You can move over there. This is my bed now.
She has her own stylist now.
Yeah, and she does, doesn't she? And only one particular one.
One particular one. And that one is very busy. Yeah.
Let's talk about crypto. Last couple of years, you were loving it, weren't you?
I love it.
You kind of love it. It's kind of like that little gambling effect, isn't it? Like the excitement of seeing it go up and down, whatever. I mean, obviously, you don't want to play with too much money, but everything's relative, I guess, between different people. So if you've got more money, you can afford to lose some. But I think that there's going to be a big market comeback. I mean, we already started to feel it even when we were shooting this podcast.
Yeah, now
it's at 37,000.
No, we've been chatting the last few days. I think also, like when I started we had projects in the past, but like, I think during COVID, it was the time when we were like a lockdown and I did all these quarantines and crypto was amazing. So I feel like it was fun and exciting. And when you're in it, you also know the projects and everything. So you have to know a little bit, because I find people come in and they're like, what's that Bitcoin thing? Like, okay. And then you're buying some alts that are really like speculatives. During COVID, I really loved to trade shitcoins. I had so much fun and it was so exciting.
You've bought one of my shitcoins, haven't you? We still owe me $1,000 for that. Don't you? Well, that's a proper coin. We've got a project from last year.
I made some money on the pig. And, some other, it was super exciting.
Did you buy any Pepe, did you?
No.
No, okay.
Pepe, no. But I had a lot of Shiba Inu. Don't ask me why. Yeah. Because I once decided to buy all the dog coins. So that was a good few weeks.
It's unbelievable. So it's an amplification of human emotions. People see, oh, cute dog coin, okay, I'll buy that. Oh yeah, well, and then if you think like everyone else does the same thing, and it's completely against all logic and anything. Crazy.
But I do think, apart from the fun fact, it's here to stay, right? Like blockchain is a technology, so I also have invested, in like cool projects, like in Singapore or like other projects where I think there's longevity. Like these were not some rug pull crap shit coins, on poolcoin.com, but like they're actually like good projects. The thing is, I think what we've seen like, back in 2016 with all the ICOs and then in 2020 is there's a lot of idiots out there, talking about stuff that nobody knows. So they think these idiots are experts and they're just idiots talking shit because they don't really understand what's going on. And then you're believing this to pouring your, hard-earned money in there that there was a lot of fraud going on, right? So I think once we yielded, like what...
Yeah, that's right.
I think once like we got rid of a lot of this crap, I think now there are really cool projects. So I think you have to understand a little bit what you're doing. For a while, like people asking me, oh, invest money for me into that. And, honestly, I gave everyone their money back and said, look, I don't want to do that because it's very speculative. So I don't know what's your appetite for, what's your risk appetite, because your risk appetite better be 100%.
Yeah.
So if we're not on 100% risk appetite, you can't do it, because you're never going to make, 20 times your money if you're not willing to lose it.
Yeah.
There's just no way. You're going to make 5-10% a year, put your money in time deposits and that's it,
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's important to have that balanced portfolio though, isn't it? I always say to my friends, for me, you should have 5% of your wealth allocated into a more risky, high return product like Bitcoin, right? If you've got $10 million, put $500,000 in just in case Bitcoin is right. Because for me, I know I've always been I wouldn't like to say I'm a visionary, but when I started my first business, it was an internet company. We were doing website design. And back then, people would ask me, why would I ever need a website? And
what is the internet?
What is the internet? And I would try to explain that. And I feel like it's the same thing with Bitcoin.
Because actually, you're a little bit of a nerd, because people don't understand that.
Don't tell the girls that.
People sometimes ask you, Spencer, he's a DJ. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And then they're like, but he does this and this. And I'm like, he's not really a DJ, like you're doing this because you like the entertainment part, but actually you are a bit of a tech nerd. And I think people don't associate you with being a tech nerd. You know what I mean? Yeah, you wear the black t-shirt, you want to do a Steve Jobs thing, but like people associate another look with somebody who's a tech nerd. But how many, even like, crypto trading, I mean, you basically taught me what to do. Because now if people ask you, like, they say something, it takes me 10 seconds to understand if you understand crypto or not, because you don't know how to use Binance, you have never traded on 4B or Qcoin, you don't have a MetaMask account, you are not in it, right? It takes us 10 seconds to know, like, when we're at dinner, people say something, you're like, no, this guy's not clear, right?
Exactly, and he don't have the time to explain it. It's a big thing to explain it.
Exactly, and then it's like, how do I buy Bitcoin?
Well, the reason why Bitcoin is going quite exciting right now is there an ETF about to be approved.
Yeah.
So it's been under works for the last 2 or 3 years. BlackRock stepped in, and now I think there's 8 applications that potentially could be approved in the next 8 days. And if that happens, that means that anyone that's invested with BlackRock can allocate some of their portfolio to this ETF, which means there's potentially billions and billions of dollars about to come into the market. Yeah, because it's much easier for those that don't understand it. They say, well, I know I need to have some in it, and I'd like to put some in from my portfolio, maybe a few percent. I don't know how to own it myself. There are some downsides to that, because Bitcoin was designed so you could have self-custody, so no one can take it off you. So having someone else to do the custody of it for you, it's got some upsides, but it's kind of against the original
idea
Bitcoin. But I still think it's good for the adoption and the kind of acceptance as a real thing. One of the things about when the internet first started, people thought, it's just a fad, won't last, whatever. Yeah. But once a generation has been born into the internet,
like now,
they think it's going to exist forever. So it's the same for Bitcoin, and that's about 20 years. And Bitcoin's coming up to 20 years. It's past 12 now. So it's 2009. So we're in like the 14th, 15th year. 3 or 4 more years, like the next bull run. They'll be around forever, but Bitcoin around, and they've got their own money for working, and they will just accept it as part of daily life.
Exactly.
So I think there's a lot of really.
I think, but you and me, I think we were always bullish on, like, it's here to stay, and we've been on a few cycles now.
Yeah. It's amazing though, isn't it? How every time the down cycle, it's hard not to think, it's just finished forever, isn't it? But once you've been through it once or twice, you're like, it's definitely going back. Yeah. It's the same feeling.
And that the next time is going to be bigger and bigger, because I remember, the first big bull run, okay. But then the second time around during COVID, it was like so much more powerful. And, with media now, it just became such a big thing. Yeah. And we were not new. So, the next time, I definitely know what to do.
Yeah, and it's the whole new group of people coming in. It's another 4 or 5 years of people coming into adulthood.
Yeah. I mean, like I told you, when I actually was lucky in hindsight, because I sold some at the top because I needed cash, because I was buying some real life assets, which in hindsight you should be doing, right? Like we talked about this. I feel like whenever you made enough money, to buy a property, take it, name it the name of the coin, and then, move on. So you have something there when, the times are bad.
I think during those bull markets, people need to be aware of what percentage of their portfolio is in Bitcoin. I keep reducing it. So if it's going up, if it doubled in price, sell half of it.
Yeah.
Don't get greedy, because there's some point it's different. Because as it's going up, you don't want to sell it, you want to buy it. And as it's coming down, you want to sell it all. I mean, it's like you need to opposite.
You are doing the exact opposite of what
the exact opposite
should be doing. It's a learning curve.
So, personal goals for the future. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? What is Vera 2030?
It's a good question. I think like my business goals and my professional goals, I'm somewhat clear on. I feel like, and we just talked about this the other day, I feel like right now there's a lot of setting up an infrastructure to do bigger things, right? I feel like I have understood over the last year or two that in order to do a little bit bigger things, you need to have certain things set up. And that takes a little bit of time and effort and HR and, lots of organization. And I think over the next year or two, I'm at a point where then things can become a little bit bigger. So I'm excited for that. I do want to, once all these companies are set up, just focus on, there's no more building new companies.
Which is the main one that you see? Which is your main passion? Or is it just making money as your main?
No, you know what? Honestly, I think the investing part is my main passion. I do want to focus more on investing in tech. I want to invest more in women-run businesses. Basically anything that interests me. I still have, my investments in fashion and retail. Honestly, just things that interest me, because I feel like, some things now, it's not really like, I don't know how to run a restaurant, like it's not, and I don't think that, how can I say, I don't think that is the best use of my time. Someone else can do it. But I think, for example, once you have a template on how to invest in companies and help the founders, there's the chance that some of these companies become very successful, right? A tech company has more potential to be successful than, the one restaurant that I have. So, and I couldn't be that founder because I don't think I'm smart enough. I don't have the capacity, but there are very creative, very intelligent people in this world. And I think for the future, what I'm trying to set up is just be the person that supports them, because they need to have the creative ideas and the know-how how to do it. But if you have the infrastructure set up for someone to do what they can do and run with it, I think that is something I can contribute to. I think that is going to be my main goal moving forward. Yeah.
And where do you think you're going to be? Where's your favorite place? Where can you end up? Like, where does Vera want to be as she slows down a little bit? Which is the favorite place in the world?
I always loved Bali. As you know, I had been spending more time in Milan. My main investment
like the Italian, so don't you?
Exactly.
You have a very soft spot for Italian men.
Cut this out. No, so I recently bought a villa in Lake Como. So I think that has been one of the things, when you always have something in your mind that you want to do. And I've been saying it for many years. I always dreamt of this villa on the lake. I love the vibe on Lake Como. I think it's just absolutely beautiful. And I actually think investment wise also will be great. But it's very quiet there. It's a very quiet life. There's nothing to do. You eat your pasta in the evening, you have a glass of red wine and you chill. It's not a hectic life. Like my life is very hectic when I'm here. Or, we have a project in Dubai coming up. It's a very go, entertaining, doing this. There is a full day every day. Life in Italy is just more slow. And I like that. And I like that things are very particular.
They speak in the afternoon, right?
No.
They don't?
No,
That's
Spain. I like the quality of life that is very high. It's a little bit more simple and things.
Well, it's very cultured in Italy. Well, I mean, it's like the founding place of, the Roman Empire, whatever, the first biggest real empire that was around. So they've got some amazing historical buildings and history.
It's so beautiful everywhere, And I love the contrast to, whereas in Asia, like Shanghai or Singapore, everything feels like new.
Yeah. Well, they just tear everything down
and build a skyscraper, I was funny because, when I bought the house, I took my mom there, and I had actually bought the house before seeing it because I've been looking at properties. I always look at properties there for 5 years. 5-10 years, I had no money. I would go there and look at it, because I do feel it gives me inspiration and motivation, And then, when I showed the house to my mom, I said, "Do you like it?" She said, "No, it's old." I said, "Yeah, that's the point. Why? You have to make everything new." I said, "No, it's the whole villa. We're going to restore it. It's like a Liberty-style villa." She said, "I don't understand. Just buy a new house."
Your mom is a particular type of person, isn't it?
She's very funny. You know her.
Did she ever get that purple Lamborghini or not?
No, unfortunately not. But she loves the purple Lamborghini. She's funny.
All right, so let's just do some quick fire questions for you. These are just like 5 or 6 stupid questions. So, morning routine: yoga, gym, or a cup of coffee?
Gym and coffee.
At the same time?
sometimes.
You did that this morning, so I believe you that and that. Favorite local dish here in Bali?
I like tempeh manis and ayam betutu.
Okay, and your chefs can cook those at home?
Of course. My girls too.
Yeah, that's an evening dish or an afternoon dish? Or?
Everyday dish,
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
I know when we come to your villa, you've always got massive food displays on. And your birthday party there last week was pretty epic, right?
Yeah.
50, 60 people?
Yeah, around that.
Yeah, all for dinner, like all laid out.
You know, I don't want people to come to my house and feel like, oh, there's no food or no drinks. I want people to like feel happy when they go, you know, and like there's snacks.
One book or podcast you recommend to our listeners? Oh, you've bought me one, haven't you? Yes. Oh my God, here we go.
In the effort.
The Changing World.
Will you educate yourself? I brought you the latest book that I brought from Ray Dalio. You know, when it comes to books, I actually, you know, there was a time when I didn't read that much. I really got back into reading. You know, Ray Dalio, one of the big idols, of course, in finance.
Oh, wow. She's wrote me a note in here as well. We have to read that later on. Okay.
Course.
Wow. Okay.
I also just read Josh Soros' book. So I think business leaders that I admire, I love to hear the story. How did they make it? Actually, it's the second book I just read from Ray Dalio. The first is really about how he managed to, you know, build his business and how he, you know, what he's learned. I always love the inspirational stories from, you know, big business leaders. I recently read the Nike book, right? So how did founders, you know, make it? What was their story? To be honest with you, I only read business books. It's very boring, I know, but
the Nike story is incredible, really. The guy when he first started, made the first shoe, and
I love those stories.
Yeah, and I like the story about his the designer that did the Nike tick. Right, she's I think it was just a college student, and they paid up $20 or something. And they ended up giving her a load of stock, but then worth $1 million, whatever.
It's always like cool stories. I like those. So.
What's the last song you listened to on repeat?
There's this song with Rihanna and Kanye West, 4 or 5 seconds.
Okay, wow. Is that the gym one, or is that the?
It's like an everyday, like good vibe, you know.
Okay.
One. Yeah.
Well, and finally, sunrise or sunset?
Indifferent.
I don't think I've ever seen a sunrise. I'm just not a morning person. I just don't get up for it. I work till like 2 or 3 in the morning.
You know, I have this thing, you know, when people come to Bali and they're like, oh, let's go watch the sunset. I always feel like, why?
Yeah.
Where are you going?
Well, that's the mindset thing, isn't it? Because a lot of, firstly, it's about when they're coming out on holidays. They want
holidays, yeah.
But the other thing is, if people are living here, a lot of people, they focus their life on experiences and enjoying those moments and stuff. Yeah. And that's totally fine. And I totally get that. But for people like me and you, it's like, I wouldn't even think about doing that. I don't have an hour, 2 hours to go and sit by the beach and sip a gin and tonic and watch the sun go down. I want to do stuff. I've got things to organise.
That's why I was asking people. I'm like, why? Yeah. I've never been I've been to the beach club because I was forced once, but most I've never been there. Yeah. People ask me for advice. I said, you know, I really don't know. I could not tell you that. I have a few restaurants that I love to go to, and then I'm working, you know. Because it's different.
But every time you're going to restaurants as well, you're normally talking about business.
Or I'm out with people I do business with, or I'm out with my staff.
Networking, relationships, and these kind of things.
Yeah, for sure. Because that's why actually, you know, I do have a lot of, you know, male friends or, you know, like business partners or something, because sometimes I also just like to talk about work, and I don't want to talk about, you know, babies and this and that, because maybe I don't have it. So I always get along with guys because, you know, maybe someone was married who has kids. So I was like, oh, you know, when it's going to happen for you and this and that. And nobody that is male has ever asked me that, you know, apart from you. But, you know, we're like really good buddies. But like other people would never ask you that. And I appreciate that. I don't want to talk about it. It's like you're talking about something hypothetical. It's like when somebody asks me, when are you going to get married? I'm like, I don't know. When I'm going to be a billionaire? I don't know. What kind of question is that? That's like, you know, when are you going to win the lottery? Like, I think it's a question that is nonsense, that is absolutely pointless. So I am a girl's girl, you know me, I have all my girlfriends and everything. But I think sometimes I like to hang out with men because, you know, many times also I want to talk about business, they want to do something cool. And I'm not saying like all, but I feel like sometimes that becomes the dynamic.
Yeah, sure. Like, well, you know, we don't want to categorize people, but when most women are focused on the family and doing those kind of things, That's beautiful. And then you get some part there focused on the business. And if you've got a particular type of person, if you've got a man who's not focused on business, he's focused more on lifestyle, I think you can't kind of explain to him the difference in your brain of why you think this and why he thinks that. And there's nothing wrong between the two. It's just, I can't be that person. I've got big goals.
Exactly. But it's the same for, I mean, that's how it is, when you meet a guy, maybe where you absolutely not, it's the same for me when I meet a woman. And of course, I have a great circle of, most of my girlfriends are also, successful business women. And of course, some are, mothers and they stay at home. There's no like, okay, she's successful and, friends are your friends. So it doesn't matter to me what they do. But, I do have a good group of girlfriends that are very successful. And I like the chat too, So I think you need to find a middle way.
Well, that was, your hair looks great. How are you looking on the camera? You're going to give it all into the camera. Well, that's a great podcast, Vera.
Right.
Really great listening to all your stories and your aspirations and what you're planning to do. So thank you very much for coming on Lockstock FM, my little podcast that's going to take over the world and
gonna go viral.
Loads of really interesting guests like yourself.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Love it.
Enjoyed it. Until next time, guys, thank you for listening. Lockstock FM with Vera Kretschmar.